Hey everybody, happy Friday. It is time for another episode of Grifftalks, and let's just get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, or at least I want to show you guys, I decided to expand my set a little bit. I went ahead last Sunday, I bought some Jenga blocks, I bought some double-sided tape, and yes, I'm poor, so Jenga blocks is the way to go, and I stacked a couple of diecasts on here. On this side, I got all of my Dale Earnhardt Jr. diecasts, every single one of them. And then on this side are my newest diecasts. So as you guys know, last Wednesday there was not an episode of the diecast of the week. I've just been swamped. I haven't been able to get much accomplished in terms of YouTube. So I wasn't able to get a diecast of the week or the unboxing video up. Also too, talking about that unboxing video, so I did record it, but the footage, it's not good. Like, honestly, you guys don't want to see it because I keep talking about quality trumps all. Quality is great. What I recorded was not quality. Like, you guys will not see the cars at all. The framing was wrong, and so because of that, it's trashed. So what I'll do for the rest of this update portion of Grifftalks is that I'm going to show off all the cars here. So those are all the ones. I got them again at diecastsports.com. So Steve and Cindy Clark at diecastsports.com got those. So I got all the diecasts for 50 bucks. The shipping is 15 though. So that talks about how good of a deal they are. So if you guys do want to get your fix on diecast 124s or 164s, go for it. I don't plan to get any more cars from them in the near future, but if there's any new deals that arise, I'll probably take advantage of it. And then finally, for the actual diecast of the week, as I said, I'm sticking with Junior. And so throughout the month of June, you will see 8 different Dale Jr. diecasts, and I will grade them all. And just as a heads up, not all of them are going to be 5 perfects. Yes, I'm a Dale Jr. fan, but again, I'm judging them based off the cars alone, not just who drove them. I'm probably going to do something a little special later this week for the first episode, and then we'll go back to a normal schedule. Every Wednesday you will see a diecast of the week. Now let's talk about Dover. So last weekend all 3 series were at Dover. Some quick takeaways. First of all, Ross Chastain. I was kind of curious how Ross Chastain will do over the weekend, and it turns out Truck Series race he finished like 14th, 15th, pretty good. Xfinity Series finished 21st, and then the Cup Series I am pleasantly surprised. He finished 20th in that race. And what's so great about that is that it is Premium Motorsports' best finish ever. Absolutely proud of him, and I really hope he can find more success moving forward with some better rides, better results. I definitely think he has a chance of doing something great. And this weekend was a nice proving ground for that. And plus he has sponsorship too, so that could help propel him forward as well. Next thing I want to quickly hit on, and I mentioned it on Twitter, was tires. It was really interesting because the Cup Series, they had 9 total tires to use. So if you want to talk about maybe throwing in some excitement or something like that as just a suggestion, maybe limiting tires during a race could be a great idea. Limiting them to like a level where not every single caution you have the opportunity to go down pit road. And so if you need to stay on those tires a little longer, you're forced to stay out, and it could play into the strategy hands. Now again, I know we're not all about change, but something to think about moving forward if you want to really create more of that excitement every single weekend. And then the final thing I do want to talk about is overtime. So as you guys know, the race did end in overtime, and pretty much the flaws of the overtime system were exposed this weekend in the Cup Series race at Dover. Because what happened was Kyle Larson pretty much dominated the entire race. Then with 4 laps to go, David Ragan blew a tire, and thus bringing out the caution. They went into overtime. And so as you guys know, there's an overtime line like on the back straightaway, somewhere around there. I think it was like beneath the E in the Dover sign. And once they passed that, whatever flag ends the race, whether that's checkered or yellow. So on the restart, Jimmie Johnson did get the better restart on Kyle Larson, and Johnson cleared Larson down the back straightaway. And literally it was about 100 feet past the overtime line, they started wrecking. Ty Dillon, Casey Kane, among others, wrecked. Caution was thrown, race was over, Jimmie Johnson was declared the winner. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of Jimmie Johnson, like, I understand he's won a lot of races and he won this race and he did it by the rules. I understand that. I say good job to him. Congrats on him winning the race. The two problems that I see from this finish, the first one, I mentioned it on, I believe, Facebook. Not a big fan of NASCAR deciding to throw when the caution comes out. Now, I understand safety. I totally get it, because once the caution's thrown, everyone's frozen. And I understand that because they want to get rid of racing back to the line, because it was in 2003 when they implemented this rule, and it's for the sake of safety, so that no other accidents or damage occurs. And then the other thing I understand too is with this new overtime system, it is mostly implemented after 2015 during the Daytona, the Coke 0400. Austin Dillon had his wreck after the line, he got into the catch fence, a couple of fans got injured, it wasn't a good time. I understand that. The problem I do not understand is, even with this new overtime procedure, if that was implemented in the 2015 Coke 0400, everything would have been the same. Because there was only one attempt that happened, and the wreck happened past the finish line. I guess they're trying to minimize the impact of severe crashes, but the takeaway is that it doesn't give us fans a solid, clean green flag finish. Now, I know you guys at NASCAR are not totally trying to rig the sport, but the way how it's going now, it seems like it. Because like at Dover, it's like, oh, well, Johnson's out front, we'll throw a caution flag immediately. But there are other times, like for example, 2016 Xfinity race at Daytona. Almirola and Justin Allgaier were side by side coming to the line, and I have a feeling that once Almirola was out in front, boom, throw the caution, and Almirola gets his first Super Speedway win in the Xfinity Series. I just feel like we need to find some way to just have a green flag finish. And we could even go ARCA's route where it's like only a one lap dash. Or one thing I've been thinking too is whatever takes 30 seconds around the track, that would be the overtime. So like Super Speedway finishes or Speedways just do one lap dash. But then for short tracks like Bristol, Martinsville, and Richmond, that would be a 2-lap dash or something like that. I just think we need some way to have a clean and fair finish. That's all. Next thing I do want to talk about is Darrell Wallace Jr. There is some great news and some bad news for Darrell Wallace Jr. The great news, he's going to get his first Cup start in the Monster Energy Series. He's going to replace Aric Almirola in the 43 until Almirola gets better. Big reason for this, Regan Smith, he's going to be in the 92 truck at Texas this weekend, and so Bubba Wallace is going to replace Almirola for the time being. As great as that sounds, the bad news is the 16 that Darrell Wallace is with, that's going to go away after Pocono. They have lack of sponsorship, and because of that, stuff's not going well with that team. And so, in my opinion, Darrell Wallace is what NASCAR needs. I have definitely become a huge fan of Darrell Wallace. Big supporter of him, and I really hope he does get a solid ride in the Cup Series, which is why I believe he should be the top replacement for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 ride. The big thing with Darrell Wallace is that he is his own identity. Like, he's 24 years old, so he's still with the younger drivers, but he doesn't like associate with any other drivers. Like, he's not the son of like another older driver or something like that. He is his own man. He brought his own identity to this series, and he's made a big impact so far. And I really hope he does well. And of course, racial diversity is a big thing as well, because this weekend it's going to be the first time an African-American driver has started a Cup race since 2006, which is Bill Lester, which by the way you will eventually see in One More Spark. So Darrell Wallace Jr. has a great opportunity with the 43 ride. I really hope he does well, because again, if you want to talk about that diversity, definitely something NASCAR needs. If whatever 6, 7, 8 weeks comes up and Aric Almirola is back and healthy, Darrell Wallace is out of a ride and potentially out of a potential chance of having a career rolling. Now, I could see him sticking on because, again, he's good friends with Ryan Blaney, but times can change. So again, hopefully Darrell Wallace finds a ride and he's able to, in 2018, that's what I meant to say, he's able to find a more permanent ride, and I hope he doesn't get left out in the dust. And now let's quickly talk about Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe. What is up with them? Their tire changers, tire carriers, and crew chiefs are all suspended for races. And the biggest reason why? Loose wheels. Now, unfortunately, I didn't catch the truck race, so I don't really know what happened with Chase Briscoe, but it sounds like it's pretty familiar to what Kyle Busch had on Sunday, which is when the car was rolling on the racetrack, the tire popped off, and Kyle Busch went around the majority of the racetrack on 3 wheels. Now, the story was the tire changer on the actual changer, the drill, if you want to call it that. What happened was when he was going to go in and screw in the tire, apparently it was on the wrong way. And literally what he did was he unscrewed all the screws off the wheel. And so because of that, none of the screws were on that tire. And so once Kyle Busch left, bop, it fell off, and Kyle Busch's chances of winning the race were somewhat diminished. I know he came back and he was like second later on in the Dover race. It really didn't do much to Kyle Busch's success this weekend. And so because the tire fell off, 4 race suspension for the crew chief, tire changer, and tire carrier. I do believe it is a little too harsh. Even though I'm not a big Kyle Busch fan, I just think that is a really weird penalty because they're not gaining an advantage in doing that. I don't know, I mean, sure, with the nuts off, that's less weight on the rear left side. But honestly, it really doesn't make much difference at all in seeing the tire roll off, because I know that he screwed up. Hitting him with that penalty, it's tough. But again, if you want to see the other side of the coin, it's NASCAR's way of just making sure that you guys don't do it again. And I could definitely see it as a safety hazard, because it's like, just for the sake of safety, we want to make sure you guys know that you done goofed, and you want to make sure we don't do it again. And so that is again the case for both Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe. But I guess if you want to look at it a little more positively, it's only 4 races. They'll come back in a few weeks, and I believe that is, what do we got? We got Pocono, Michigan, Sonoma, Daytona, I think. So like in July, they'll be back. So it's not like for the entire year or like an indefinite suspension. Just only 4 races, and Joe Gibbs' team has already declined the option to appeal the penalty. So that's what's up with that. And then finally, just as a quick preview for both Pocono and Texas. Yes, the Truck Series, they're gonna have their traditional summer swing at Texas, which I do appreciate. I love having these weekends where multiple series go to multiple tracks. It really expands the NASCAR banner. And again, I wish NASCAR could do it more often, but you know, money and all that fun business stuff, I get it, don't like it, but I get it. That's what's up. And so one thing that's not really good is that as of right now, only 26 trucks are entered into the Texas race. It's not good, and the question I have to ask is, why is it so expensive to keep a truck team? Because Brad Keselowski has mentioned it. He is not gaining much money at all doing his 2-truck team. He's doing it though as a development for potential new drivers. That's great of him, but there's no profit off of that. And seeing only 26 trucks at Texas, I could see NASCAR looking at each other and being like, well, looks like that's not going to happen, and they'll probably potentially throw the truck race at Pocono, which, God forbid, hopefully not. But, you know, whatever. Honestly, I'm just along for the ride because, you know, I'm just a fan. I have no power. I'm just going to speak my voice. I'm going to speak my opinion. NASCAR can do whatever they want. Hashtag go to more short tracks. So going to the Xfinity side, they're racing at Pocono, which I still believe is a not good move, but whatever. A couple of Cup drivers that are in this race include Paul Menard, not Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, Daniel Suarez is in the 18, Kyle Benjamin is in the 20. I know he's not a Cup driver, but I just feel like I need to mention him. Brad Keselowski is in the 22, and Kyle Larson is in the 42. And don't forget, this is the weekend where the Cup drivers are going to be doing the broadcasting, pit reporting, and the Hollywood hoteling. Hoteling, yeah, and just use it as a verb, not the best idea, but whatever. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. I personally don't like this decision to do it. It's just a stupid little gimmick for more people to come aboard, but it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see how Harvick and Logano fare with each other in the broadcast booth, and it'll be interesting to see how Danica Patrick fares in the Hollywood Hotel with Denny Hamlin. So anyway, going to my predictions now. For the Truck Series race, I'm going to have a rookie. I'm going to say Noah Gragson will get his first career win at Texas. I know he's been doing good at the other 1.5 mile tracks, and I think he'll get it done this weekend because he's not going to have as much competition. The driver I have to watch out for is the driver of the 99 truck, which is Timothy Peters. He is back for one weekend in the 99 truck, which is great, I might add. But it's not a full-time gig. He's just back for that one weekend. Hopefully Timothy Peters can find a more established ride down the road. On the Xfinity side, I'm going to say Kyle Larson. I just fear that this race is not going to be exciting at all. NASCAR is going to try to throw in a few quirks here and there, but it's just not going to work. Driver I have to watch for in this race. The driver I have to watch out for in this race is Darrell Wallace Jr. This is the last race with him in the Xfinity Series for that 6 team. And so the question is, how is Bubba Wallace going to race this race? Is he going to race balls to the wall hard? Or is he just going to prepare himself for the Cup race that he'll have to deal with on Sunday? And then finally on the Cup side, I have Martin Truex Jr. winning the Cup race. I think he'll get a second career win at Pocono. And then the driver I have to watch out for in that race is the same person for the Xfinity Series, Darrell Wallace Jr. I want to see how he does. I'm going to see how he fares. My concern is the actual car he's in, not the driver himself, because that 43 team is subpar. If there's any way Darrell Wallace can make the car a lot better, that'd be fantastic. But in this day and age, it's more about the vehicle more than the driver. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for the support. We're going to keep this train rolling. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I will see you next time.